Alaska doesn't just feel big. It completely rewrites your sense of scale. At more than 665,000 square miles, it's the largest state on the continent by a massive margin. If you dropped Alaska on top of the lower 48, it wouldn't neatly fit inside the borders. It would spill across the entire country, stretching from the East Coast to the edge of California. But Alaska's size isn't just measured in land. It's measured in emptiness, distance, and raw geography that few places on Earth can rival. This is a land shaped by extremes. Tens of thousands of glaciers carve through the terrain. The coastline alone is longer than that of all other U.S. states combined. Millions of lakes dot the landscape, many of them untouched by roads or permanent settlements. In many ways, Alaska feels less like a U.S. state and more like a remote northern nation attached to the map by history rather than convenience. Despite its enormous footprint, fewer than 1 million people live there. Alaska is completely separated from the contiguous United States, and its road network is fragmented and incomplete. Entire communities exist without highway access. Ironically, this isolation sits alongside some of the richest natural resources in the country: oil, gas, fisheries, timber, and minerals, creating a state that is incredibly wealthy on paper, but logistically difficult to live in. Getting to Alaska is a challenge on its own. Most travel happens by plane or by sea, with the only overland routes passing through Canada. Once you're there, nature dominates everything. Wildlife still rules large portions of the state, from moose and caribou to polar bears in the far north. Alaska also holds America's tallest mountains, including Denali, the highest peak in North America, towering over the landscape like a reminder of how small human settlements really are. But living here is not about scenic views alone. Daily life in Alaska is demanding. Winters are long, dark, and severe, even for residents who have spent their entire lives there. In northern regions, sunlight can disappear for months at a time, creating conditions that are physically and mentally exhausting. Smaller towns face additional challenges, including extreme cold, rough terrain, and total dependence on air or water transport for supplies. Surprisingly, the weather isn't always the biggest issue. Alaska also struggles with social and economic pressures that affect everyday life. Crime rates are among the highest in the United States, with violent crime being a serious concern across much of the state. At the same time, Alaska is one of the most expensive places to live in the country, with costs sitting roughly 30% above the national average. While the state doesn't collect income or sales tax, and wages can be strong, prices for food, housing, and basic goods remain high due to transportation and isolation. To understand Alaska beyond the wilderness, you have to look at its cities. Small by U.S. standards, but vital in keeping the state functioning. Sitka and Ketchikan are good examples. These two southeastern cities operate independently, unlike towns that fall within the Anchorage metro area. Sitka has just over 8,000 residents and functions as a true, though compact, city. Life there comes at a premium, with living costs far above the national average. Ketchikan is smaller, but plays a critical role in Alaska's fishing industry, serving as a key center for seafood production and export. Still, Alaska's identity is largely defined by its three largest urban centers: Juneau, Fairbanks, and Anchorage. Juneau, the state capital, is home to fewer than 32,000 people and has seen its population slowly decline. What makes Juneau stand out is its isolation. There are no roads connecting it to the rest of the state. Travel in and out is done entirely by air or sea. As the political center of Alaska, Juneau benefits from government employment, tourism, and fishing. It's surrounded by mountains and ocean, has a strong sense of community, and maintains the lowest crime rate among the state's major cities, though living there remains expensive. Fairbanks sits deep in Alaska's interior and is known for its brutal winters and proximity to the Arctic Circle. It's slightly larger than Juneau and has a culture built around surviving and embracing the cold. Winter sports and outdoor activities are central to daily life. Fairbanks is also home to the University of Alaska Fairbanks, which brings in students, scientists, and researchers from across the globe. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline passes nearby, reinforcing the city's importance to the state's economy. Often called the Golden Heart City, Fairbanks is known for its strong local identity and close-knit population, with crime levels sitting between Juneau and Anchorage. Anchorage is Alaska on an entirely different scale. With close to 300,000 residents, it dwarfs every other city in the state. More than half of Alaska's population lives in or around Anchorage. It is the economic, transportation, and logistical center of the state, hosting major highways, the largest port, and the busiest airport. Anchorage is home to the state's largest university and many of its major businesses, making it the closest thing Alaska has to a true metropolitan area. However, that scale comes with trade-offs. Anchorage has the highest crime rate in the state, and safety varies sharply from one neighborhood to another. While it offers conveniences and opportunities unavailable elsewhere in Alaska, it also carries many of the same challenges found in large cities across the country. Yet even Anchorage is unmistakably Alaskan. Mountains rise in the distance, wildlife occasionally wanders into city limits, and on clear nights, the northern lights still dance across the sky. Alaska earns its nickname, the Last Frontier, not as a marketing slogan, but as a description of reality. Most of the state remains undeveloped, with a handful of cities acting as the final outposts of modern life before wilderness takes over completely. For some, that isolation represents freedom and opportunity. For others, it's a warning. In Alaska, survival, beauty, and hardship exist side by side, and choosing to live there means accepting all three.